Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Guild Esports for the official launch of the Make Listening Safe campaign UK. Before we start, there are a couple of big thank yous I want to make. First of all, for this evening's sponsor, the UK Acoustics Network, and then to Guild Esports, who've donated this venue to us tonight. So please show your thanks. While saying thank you, there are a few other thank yous I'd like to make at this point. The first is to what we call Team Make Listening Safe. So this is a pro bono group of people involved in marketing and the creative industries who've actually made this happen. So if you're a part of Team Make Listening Safe, please put your hand up and get some recognition. Thank you. Thank you very much for everything you've done so far. The ride is just about to begin, I think. I'd also like to welcome our supporters here this evening. We now have over 40 supporters for the Make Listening Safe campaign, and we're very grateful of you joining us here tonight. We'd also like to welcome our other guests, which include a number of very eminent academics in this field. You may have noticed on the reverse of your badge that there's a QR code. Please don't throw your badge away, take it with you. The QR code, when scanned, will give you access to all of the materials that we're using here and saves you from taking any notes or trying to remember what happened. We are videoing, and we will put a complete video on the site, hopefully by the end of this week. So what is the Make Listening Safe campaign? I think most of you know, but just to recap, the Make Listening Safe campaign is part of the response to the World Health Organization's report in 2015 that estimated that 1.1 billion people worldwide were at risk of avoidable hearing loss. We estimate that about 10 million of those are in the UK, and they're between 12 and 35 years of age. The responses to this report include new safety standards for venues and live events, which are being piloted and championed by the Nighttime Industries Association, and we've got a representative here today, Rob Shepherd, somewhere. Can't see him, there he is with his hand up. If you want to talk about live events and looking after your hearing there, then Rob's your man. They've also introduced new safety standards for headphones and initiated a public awareness campaign, the Make Listening Safe campaign. Today we're launching the Make Listening Safe campaign in the UK, the overall campaign, and we're going to look at all sorts of avoidable risks to hearing in the course of the campaign, which we hope will become perpetual. And then it will be rolled out from the UK to the other 193 countries in the world that the World Health Organization has representation in. To get us underway, I'd like to show you a brief video from Dr. Shelley Chadha, who's the technical lead ear and hearing for the World Health Organization. Dr. Shelley Chadha had hoped to join us here this evening, but was called away on urgent business and has been good enough to send us a video message to start our evening.
Good evening. On behalf of the World Health Organization, I would like to congratulate today the team of the Make Listening Safe UK campaign on reaching this point and launching this initiative. I know that it's been a long and often tortuous road to get here, and I thank you for your persistence, your resilience, and your hard work. At the launch of this campaign, I want to convey two key messages. Firstly, that the risk of hearing loss due to loud sounds is real. You have heard the numbers and read the data, so I'm not going to repeat those. But more than that, most of us have seen, have known young people, children, adolescents who listen far too long or far too loud. For me, surely many a times I have sat next to a young individual in a bus or a train, listening to the music that is blasting through their headphones and wanting to turn it down. This risk, which was earlier limited to workplaces, to occupational settings, and it could be managed. This is now part of every household and every family's daily life. The risk, ladies and gentlemen, is real. But the good news is that the risk can be mitigated. It can be mitigated through safe listening that does not compromise the joy, the fun, the enjoyment of listening, but at the same time allows us to protect our hearing. What it requires is a lot more awareness and a little more care in the way we listen. Understanding this need, the World Health Organization in 2015 launched the Make Listening Safe initiative. And since then, we have been working to create messages, materials, gather data, set standards, develop guidelines. However, WHO can only do a little. It is collaborators and champions like the ones who have developed this campaign who can take these messages to the people who need to hear them and make a difference on the ground. We hope that this campaign will be the start of a new trend and that many organizations in different countries will take up this challenge and put through strongly these messages, the messages of the risk and its mitigation. This campaign and this launch would certainly not have been possible without the heroic efforts of the Make Listening Safe UK team led by Stephen Wheatley and all of its supporters and sponsors. I wish them and I wish this campaign the very best. And I wish everyone here many, many years of happy, enjoyable, and safe listening. Thank you.
So thank you to Shelley for making that video, and she did give everybody her apologies for not being here. But I'll tell you two people who are here are Mark Lawrence and Amelis Melendez, who are the co-chairs of the Make Listening Safe Global campaign. So please welcome them.
Okay, thank you for the kind introduction. I'm very happy that Shelley has been presenting this from the WHO perspective. In fact, in the World Health Organization, we have a subgroup, which we call the World Hearing Forum. All the stakeholders in ear and hearing care are involved. Because WHO makes a lot of great material. But if that material is not promoted and used and shared, it's only a piece of paper or a PDF lying somewhere. And that's why we need to do more. That is why they have created different work groups or work streams, we should say today, because they changed it. And one of those work streams is Make Listening Safe. It's kind of confusing because you have the Make Listening Safe initiative, developing all the quality material, all the academics who are there, developing all the different standards. But we also have the Make Listening Safe work group promoting everything. And we have a quite bold main goal. Our intention is to create a world where nobody's hearing is put in danger due to unsafe listening. Now that can seem easy. It's kind of difficult to achieve that goal, but we want to make sure it's possible. And then I could discuss all the different levels and things we are working on, but that would take us until tomorrow morning, and I understand from Stephen that we don't have that much time. So let us now focus on the main thing here, and that's looking at what matters for young people. So for young people, I think the idea is that we want to promote safe listening, to increase awareness on the importance of safe listening, and to change behavior for the target group. Now, that is even more bold, because changing behavior is not all that easy as you may think. I think we all have good intentions, but before our behavior is changed, it can take a while. Now, if I look at the Make Listening Safe UK campaign, I've seen it's from, what did you say? I think it's from 10 to 40 years. Let me tell you something, it's too late if you start at 10. You may want to start at 8, first grades, because if you want to change young people's behavior, the closer they are to puberty, the more they want to revolt. So it's much better to start early, because they enjoy the fun. They enjoy the fact that, in fact, safe listening is fun, looking at it. And if you want to have older people, sorry about that, 13, 40 years of age, make them ambassadors. Make them involved and make them tell it to the younger people, and then they will do something else about it. If a guy of my profile, old, gray-haired with a gray beard, is talking to 20-year-old people, they couldn't care less. I think it's very important to really focus on the people that can make the difference and can make the change at that moment. But okay, I think that's what we need to do, and that's why we have a school program we propose, that actions in schools, activities in schools, we promote that around the globe. We're working on a database to make that happen. The other aspect is, as Shelley said, we are not about spoiling the fun. We are not always the party poopers at WHO. I think that we know that people need to do things safe, like using condoms and other stuff like this you may have heard about, or getting vaccines for COVID, some of the other aspects that people may not always like. But we want all of you to enjoy sounds, the sounds of life, music, the sounds of your esports games and sounds and whatever. I think they're very exciting, and we want you to do that. We want you to enjoy big times, but we also want you to be able to do that tomorrow. And that is why listening responsibly makes a difference at that moment. Now the thing is that you need to have the option to do so. Because what I learned, and I think it was very interesting to look in the esports environment, if you are in a competition in esports, you can't activate any special features, because that is looked at like spoiling it and doing something which is not allowed. Now, if that comes at the cost of your hearing, that is something that should be changed. And I think we're very happy, because I do understand that all the esports and video game associations are very aware about the aspects of health. And that there's been a very good cooperation with all the meetings we had with stakeholders at that moment. So it's great. I think we're doing that. But it's not about always having it, because we can develop standards, we can develop features. But let me just ask a question, and please, to make you a little active, otherwise it's always one way. Who of you in this room has a smartphone on his today? Okay, who hasn't? That's easier, right? Cool. Who of you in this room has, in fact, in that smartphone, a feature that will measure your weekly sound dose? Who of you has that in his smartphone? Okay, a few. Hands down. Who of you in this room has an iPhone? Then some people made a mistake, because in all iPhones, that feature is available. It's always there. If you look at your health app, it's always there. The issue is, and I'm not blaming you, most people don't know. And I'm very kind, I didn't ask the ones who said, I have it in my phone, did you check it yesterday? So I think that's another story. But we need to promote it, and that is why it's so important that if you have safe listening possibilities inside of devices, that we make it possible. And we didn't stop at smartphones, because multiple smartphones are having it. We're expanding that to smart headphones. Certain Mr. Wheatley here was very adamant that we need to have that in smart headphones. And I think it's essential it's there, and that we move forward. The same thing is that if you go to a venue, a music concert or bar, you must have the option to listen responsibly. If the loudness level is always at the level of 110 dBA, even protection, hearing protection won't be enough to save your ears. So that is why it makes sense to have safe listening environments and bars. To also make sure, and I think Adam is here as well, that the sound quality is great. Because loud sounds at the cost of distortions and bad sound quality doesn't help you. By the way, even if you have hearing protection in, and if the hearing level, the sound level is okay, you will still get the vibration and the endorphins that make you happy at that moment. So don't worry about that. We're not here about spoiling the fun. So that is why we're looking at esports now, how we can improve it and make it better in cooperation with all the people involved. I think that's what we want to do. If you don't involve all the stakeholders, you're missing the point. That is so essential. And that's also why we developed multiple standards to make it a lot easier to do that. It's boring developing standards. I'm one of those crazy people that love doing it, but I think they need to be there to give you a hook to make it possible. Now, to go beyond that, there's a lot of things that we need to do more. And I'm so happy there's so many of you coming from different ranges and fields. I think we all want you to become great ambassadors for what you are doing and to do advocacy. Now, I'm not the expert on advocacy. There's a lady here next to me, my dear co-chair, Amaryllis Melendez, who's been doing that around the globe, starting in Panama, but doing more. And I think I will give the word to her to tell you about the rest of that story.
Thank you. So glad to be here first, and thanks for having us out here. I come from Panama, and other than what Mark has already explained, and you know about this, what we really need and why we're here is because we need all your help to get all these safe listening standards going to everywhere. And this is the first of the activities that would be like heading out to that. So we need to have initiatives towards associations, manufacturers, government, policymakers, to ensure that our target group, who are the young guys who are here, where are you?
They're all young.
Yeah, they're all young, but we have a few that
Looking at me, they're all
younger. So we now have to encourage the youth, and most importantly, strive to have them established by regulations or laws by our governments. The way to do it is different in each place. You do have a very standard way of doing things here in England. I won't say anything about Panama about that. But look for opportunities for interviews with policymakers, with healthcare providers. Send letters on behalf of the safe listening standards. Write opinion letters to newspapers, to the media, social media. Motivate people. Have it visible and audible. Also, join the World Hearing Forum if you have an association, and you can help us to get to this worldwide, because the success of this UK campaign will set the path of many others to come. So make it an unsurpassing success. Thank you.
Now, before we leave the floor for somebody else, I first of all want to thank Stephen, because he's putting a lot of time and energy on this. And if I say a lot, that means loads. So please give him a hand of applause. Because
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you. It's very kind of you as well. I wasn't quite expecting that. I'll regain composure while the next person comes on. So what I'd like to do now is thanking Mark and Amaryllis for their contribution. I'd now like to invite Stephen Dance, who's Professor of Acoustics at the London South Bank University, who's going to tell you what it might be like if you had hearing loss.
Thank you, Steve. Welcome one and all. I'm here to give you a little demonstration of what it could be like to lose your hearing. And we're going to use a bit of speech and music, and my friends at UCL created this piece of technology. So Hannah, and use my... So we're going to play some music. And now we're going to introduce some loss. Right. So that is high frequency loss. And now we're going to go moderate loss. And then we go just the bass. And then back to no loss. Right. So here we go. So press the stop, press the music again, and hopefully is the mic back? Grab the mic back. I'll explain what happened. So using something like tubular bells, but we couldn't afford the rights to tubular bells, so we had to come up with our own music. You can see the effects of high frequency hearing loss, and what you end up with is just the bass. That is what your hearing will be like when you're 90 years old. So what happens in your cochlea is you lose the high frequencies first with age, but if you look back at the last 50 years of music, what you've ended up with is more and more bass. So the bass, the beat is going to keep going, so you'll still hear the beat, but you don't hear the detail. The detail is lost. Now, if we do the same thing with communication, that is the bit that you enjoy, that's the bit you're doing now. Well, I am, but you will be doing in a minute. It's called talking to each other. So if we do the same thing with speech, just press the speech, thank you. Yes. So,
Murder most foul it is, eerie I find it. My skin's a prickly heat, blood cold behind it. In midnight's loneliness and thrilling
loss.
combat, the history I trace, the stifling secret. Murder most foul it is. Murder most foul it is, and I declare it.
And then moderate loss.
Murder most foul it is, eerie I find it. My skin's a prickly heat, blood cold behind it. In midnight's loneliness
And then severe loss.
the history I trace, the stifling secret.
Completely gone. So back to no loss, so you can hear
Murder
what she's
most foul
saying.
it is, and I declare it.
Perfect. Thank you. Right, now, what happened there is the sound gets muddier. Oh, we haven't done anything yet. What happened there is what you heard when you have mild loss, you can still understand because your brain's really good at filling in the gaps. But when you get severe loss, it's so muddled, you can't hear. The severe loss, by the way, you can simulate by just putting some headphones, ear protection, in-ear hearing protection, and that's what somebody talking to you will sound like, because it cuts out the high frequencies and not the low frequencies. So it is an issue. Now, the final bit is a little simulation, because we've got decent speakers, Bose speakers, very good speakers. So this is checking your own hearing, because it's a widespread speaker, and it's a pure tone, and it's at moderate level, so you're not going to go deaf. So you press the play at 500, this should be really clear to everyone, and stop. Don't put them off. And then we go up to 1,000, which is where we tune things. And this, press play, press stop. If you go to 4,000, you'll really annoy people with tinnitus. Stop. So you're all happy because you're going, ooh. That means you can hear it because you're going, ooh. And then we're going to go up to 10,000, all the way up, 10,000. Right, and play this. You should all be able to hear that. But we're going to slowly go up to 14. Press stop. Definitely press stop. You only need 5 seconds. Go up to 14 up here. So this is, you should just be able to make this out. Yeah? All right, press stop. Yeah. We'll go in. Not sure. So with age, you lose the very top end. So this is going to be the top end. We're going to go to 16. No? I've got an excuse, I'm underneath it, so it's very directional, so it's you. No? No one can hear it. So one. So there's one. Should be the girls, in case you want to know. Right, that's enough. That's enough. So let me finish by saying, when you were a child, you could hear 20 kilohertz. So you do lose this ability with age, but I'm going to leave you with one thought, because it's November the 5th this weekend. So this is an important thought. So for us, fireworks are very loud. For a child, they're extremely loud because their ear is smaller than our ear. So they're more susceptible to that frequency. But worse than that, dogs and cats' ears are completely a completely different range of hearing. So they can hear much quieter things than we can hear, which means their top end is lower. So when a firework goes off, it's unbelievably loud to a cat or a dog. So keep your cats and dogs indoors and don't let off any fireworks indoors. That's also a thing to be aware of. Right, I'm hoping you've learned something. Right, over to you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Stephen. That's terrifying. One of the reasons that I'm involved in this is I am a sufferer from, it's not a sufferer, I have hearing problems. My hearing is more typical of somebody in their late 80s. I've got 8,000 hertz tinnitus. I've got a notch in my right ear because I foolishly used to shoot clay pigeons without wearing hearing protection. And I was quite a fan of Led Zeppelin. So, you know, when he was playing the 8,000 hertz tinnitus, that was actually painful. Indeed. So, but thank you for showing us what it might be like. Okay, what I'd like to do now is introduce you to Dalia Tempeda, who's from Southampton University, and she's going to talk to us about ageing.
Thanks so much. You've just gained a simulated experience of what hearing loss sounds like. Many of you may believe that your hearing is perfectly fine and you shouldn't be concerned about it at the moment. What you may not know is that changes in our hearing health occur slowly over a long period. But these changes can happen sooner and faster if you're around really loud noises without ear protection, or you are consistently exposed to fairly loud sounds over a long period. Everyone deserves to enjoy life and music and sound, but without risking their hearing. Protecting our hearing means we are protecting our social sense, the sense we use to communicate with others. And this is an important sense because hearing, for those not natively deaf or fluent in sign language, is central to the sharing of ideas and emotions and happenings. I said ideas, emotions, and happenings because hearing health is closely linked to our cognitive, emotional, and behavioral well-being, which is how one thinks, feels, and behaves. And all these factors can affect the quality of life we can have both now and in the future. So protecting and preserving our hearing for life means we can start off strong and well, live well, and age well. When you take active steps to protect your hearing, this means that you are protecting and benefiting not only yourself, but also all those who want to communicate with you, your family, your local community, and the society as a whole. So let's work together. We all have a part to play in this effort, and here is the call to action. We need to work together to promote a world where everyone can hear and be heard. And I have an animated short video for you in order to convey this message in an entertaining way.
Listen up, calling for a world where everyone can hear and be heard. Imagine a world where everyone can hear and enjoy life to the fullest. But for millions of people, this is not the reality. It's not just the ability to hear that's affected, but also work, education, communication, and social life. Hearing loss is the largest potentially modifiable risk factor for dementia, and it's a slippery slope towards depression and other mental health issues. Preventable hearing loss affects more than 5 million older adults in England and costs the economy over £25 billion annually if left untreated. While it used to be considered a typical part of aging, recent studies have shown that there are lifestyle and social factors that can lead to increased risk for hearing loss. For example, exposure to loud noises at work, leisure, or at home can cause irreversible and permanent hearing damage. Shockingly, 1 in 3 men and 1 in 5 women over 50 in England might have hearing loss to the extent that they are unable to hear someone standing an arm's length away. There are also stark inequalities in hearing health between the north and south of the country, which is entirely unfair. More research is needed to identify and address preventable risk factors that contribute to these inequalities. Timely detection of hearing loss is critical for effective management. However, unfortunately, many people remain unaware that they have a hearing problem, so they do not mention it to the doctor. To address this issue, the World Health Organization advocates for the inclusion of routine hearing tests as a standard part of health checkups. Regular hearing tests can easily and quickly detect hearing loss in its early stages, when it's easier to manage and prevent further deterioration. People with diabetes are also at higher risk of developing hearing loss, so they should be having regular hearing screening alongside eye screening. With improved access to hearing health checks and support for hearing conditions, we can help everyone achieve their full potential and live and work well. The picture of hearing loss across the country is currently based on outdated information. This means that the current scale and impact are not fully understood, and therefore public spending priorities are not directed to these areas for people to get the support they need. Addressing this silent public health crisis can ensure a healthier and more inclusive society. Taking proactive steps to protect our hearing is fundamental to maintaining a high quality of life, both now and in the future. We all need to take hearing health seriously by acquiring and understanding the evidence and available data to gain better insight into the true scale and implications of hearing loss. By doing so, we can ensure that people can enjoy at least 5 extra healthy, independent years of life by 2035, while narrowing the gap between the richest and poorest. Working together, we can make sure everyone has equal access to hearing care and a better quality of life. It's time to take action and make ear and hearing health a public health priority. Join us in making a world where everyone can hear and be heard, and nobody is left behind.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dahlia. Very thought-provoking. I'd now like to invite Professor Stephen Dance to reappear as our sponsor and say a few words. This wouldn't be happening without him.
Thank you, Stephen. It's great to see everyone here and happy. UCAN, as our sponsor, an organisation that's set up by our government in 2017, and what it does is it brings together people around acoustics, a science you very, very, very rarely hear of. There's a lot of puns, I'm going to say, in acoustics, because sound is our life, and communication is our life, and music is the point of life. And dancing to music is the pinnacle of life. It's what people do when they're really, really happy. And having hearing is essential to that, to make the most of it. Because without communication, it is what makes you you, essentially. And the UK Acoustics Association, the UK Network I should call it now, has been very active in pushing this message to our politicians, because they unfortunately make the decisions, and unless you give them good information, so that's why we hold many events to spread the word of how important acoustics is to everyone's life and to entertainment. So we talk to the e-sporters in the room. Hearing health, hearing damage is a kind of sports injury. So you should look at it as like an sports injury for e-sporters is your hearing. That is what will go, because you really need your hearing to play those competitions, to be at the height of your skills. So we're very happy for the UK Acoustics Network to be associated with this campaign, to launching. I didn't know we were the first in the world. So we're at the spearhead of this. It's always good to tell the politician we're at the spearhead, because they always ask you, are you world leading? And the answer to that is, well, you are world leading if people are following you. Does that make sense? That's how you know you're world leading. You're at the front. And that's what I've got to tell the politicians. We're at the front. And then they will support us. So once again, I thank you for coming. And I hope we're going to have a follow-up event, because we want to see progress. We want to see action. And of course, we have to collect the data to prove it, because the next thing the politicians ask you, show me the evidence. So the evidence is the next thing. So this is awareness. We have to collect the evidence. So thank you very much for all coming, and I hope to see you all next year for the next one. Thank you.
So, thank you very much, Stephen. Okay, so a big thank you to all of our speakers. So it's pretty clear that we've got a major problem on our hands here, and it's about time that we started to address it. So looking after your hearing and avoiding avoidable hearing loss is a big topic, as it includes things like exposure to sound at work, in your office, in live music and sporting events and the like, taking part in noisy activities. So as I said, I used to shoot clays, for example, and also something that's probably quite close to most of our hearts, which is using headphones. How many people here use headphones routinely? Yeah, that's most of us, isn't it? Okay, so what we've decided to do, because we have finite resources, we've decided what we'll do is we're launching the Make Listening Safe campaign UK, but we're going to launch our first theme here tonight as well. Our first theme is to increase the awareness of the risks of uninformed headphone use. So try and make people aware that if they listen to headphones without being aware of their sound levels, they could be permanently harming their hearing. We're going to link that with a call to action, asking people to sign an e-petition to persuade the government to mandate that headphones sold in the United Kingdom meet the World Health Organization's hearing safety standards, which will require them to provide users with information about their exposure. So what we'd like you to do is to join with us to promote this message and help us to recruit people once the campaign is launched. It's currently waiting for approval. I don't know whether any of you have been through an e-petition approval in the past, but it takes some time. The government have to decide it's an e-petition that they'd like to have a look at. So we're doing that, and we'll be coming to you. And we would also like you to activate your social media, so please like, share, follow, retweet, make posts about this, and we'll be providing quite a lot of material which will be hosted on that QR code. So finally, all that remains to say is thank you all very much for coming this evening to the launch of the Make Listening Safe campaign UK. We're free to stay here till 7 o'clock, and then I'm afraid that we have to leave. So thank you again for coming. Thank you.